5th place, Stevie Abbott, and the Biggs brother, Stevie Abbott, of course, riding alongside Jamie Biggs in the Yamaha Windle of Grevensek Racing. And remember, 2 years ago, Steve Abbott, after 130 attempts, won his first ever World Sidecar Championship race. Paul Muldoon riding number 6, Stuart Muldoon, beg your pardon, and Trevor Crone in the Clark GP Racing Excalibur Yamaha LCR, finished in 6th place on the grid. The Van Giels brothers were behind them, Ian Guy and Andy Peach behind them, and so on right back to Hayakawa and Kobe, their Suzuki in 22nd place on roll 10. Now, can Steve Webster take advantage, of course, of the arrow formation, which so aided Chris Burns in the European Superstock Championship race this morning? Burns got a flyer. Can Webbo do the same? And he doesn't. Webbo is overtaken straight off the grid by, it looked like, Steinhausen and Hopkinson, number 3, who swept through to lead into Redgate. Will the sidecars get through safely? And they do, unlike those super sports guys who were all over the place at that point. The sidecars then head off down Craner curves here on what has developed into a very pleasant afternoon.
That's Stuart Muldoon at the back there. Looks like he had a problem off the line.
So Muldoon, a fellow Scot to Neil Mackenzie, spotted at the back of the field straight away. The man at the front of the field kicking up the dust is York Steinhausen, with Trevor Hopkinson now in the chair. And you're right, the Muldoon is in trouble. Muldoon and Crone right at the back on the number 6 machine. What a shame for them after they'd qualified 6th on the grid. And that looked like Klaus Claven Bach diving inside into Coppice to make some ground, because of course he can't let York Steinhausen and Stevie Webster get away. And already Muldoon and Crone shaking their Scottish heads. Oh, and pounding their Scottish fists.
Well, that's double frustration, because they had the DNF in Monza as well, and Stuart was frustrated there. He was frustrated in Monza, but he's double frustrated there. He was worse then than I saw him in Monza.
He's got his helmets decorated the same as your mobile phone, I noticed, Neil. As they go through Melbourne then, it's all Scottish, of course. And it looks like the Hanks is through into 4th place, but the big 3 are at the front. Number 3, Steinhausen. Number 1, Webster. Number 2, Claven Bach. These are the heavyweight punchers in World Sidecar Racing at the moment, and they are taking off at the front. Webbo looks over his shoulder. He wouldn't expect to see anybody but Klaus Claven Bach behind him. Hanks is 4th, Ian Guy is 5th, Van Giels is 6th, Stevie Abbott making a rather poor start in 7th place, ahead of number 25, Rob Cameron and Darren Harper. 23 lapper this sidecar race, the same distance as the World Super Sports race. And last year, remember, Steve Webster inherited victory here after that unlucky man, Klaus Claven Bach, with his then passenger Adolf Harney, had won the race and then been disqualified for a fuel irregularity. Incidentally, in this race, we've got down in 15th place, the last point-scoring place, Barry Fleury, just 2 weeks after that horrendous crash at red flagged the race at Monza. And although his dear wife Jane has had her pelvis broken in 4 places and her left femur broken and pinned, and there are no complications, she is comfortable, and she wanted him to race, which he is doing, with Ben Birchall in the chair as that man Steve Webster takes the lead.
I notice number 3, Rolf Steinhausen, got a new passenger jack. Does that mean that Andy Hetherington's retired after falling out the sidecar in Monza? Was that a direct result of his retirement?
I don't know whether it was a direct result, but as number 2, Klaus Claven Bach dives inside the German driver, but certainly the brave Andy Hetherington, who we saw bowling down the track after falling out. He hadn't actually been feeling very well all weekend, and he certainly felt unwell afterwards. He complained of sickness and headaches when he got back to the camp, when he walked back to the camp. But the following weekend, i.e. last weekend, at a German National Championship race at Hockenheim, Andy Hetherington announced that he was retiring on the Saturday, and on the Sunday he and York Steinhausen won the race, and that meant that they put Andy Hetherington up on the podium and played the national anthem for him to say goodbye, and Trevor Hopkinson took over in the chair.
Nice way to bow out.
Lovely way to bow out.
York Steinhausen concerned me after he lost his passenger, seemed more upset. Well, I thought his first concern might be for Andy, but it seemed to be the fact that they weren't going to finish the race. But I suppose that's the way it is when you want to get to the end.
Claven Bach now pressing Steve Webster. Claffey has been the man who's been racking up the points, of course, in the first half of this series. And so desperate to win, so often the bridesmaid and never yet the bride. Claven Bach, number 2. Runner-up in the World Championship last year, runner-up in the World Championship the year before, and in 1998 as well. 3rd in 1992, 1993 and 1997. So if ever a man through sheer persistence deserved to win it, then perhaps it's that man, Claven Bach. He now, of course, has a new man in the sidecar, Christian Partzer, something of a veteran, but not quite as much of a veteran as the 45-year-old Adolf Harney, who is now sidekick to number 5, Gerhard Hautzenberger, and they're Harney Racing Suzuki at the moment back in 10th place. So once again, the two guys who gave us so much entertainment over the last 2 seasons are hammer and tongs at the front of the sidecar field. Paul Woodhead in the chair. And it's all about teamwork as they go through Red Gate almost nose to tail. There is Stevie Abbott, number 7, struggling a little bit, down in 5th place, 10.5 seconds off the pace and 4 seconds behind Hanks, but just ahead of Ian Guy and the Van Giels brothers. That battle for 5th place.
Claven Bach set the fastest lap, 38.585, which compares to Steve Webster's pole position of 1:37.438 during the sidecar Super Pole.
Webster then holding on to that lead and hoping that the reliability factor is back in his live on-screen outfit. As they howl down towards the rev limiters, head into the Fogarty S's, and Steinhausen lost a little bit of ground initially, but is hanging on there with them. Webster, Claven Bach and Steinhausen clear of Hanks, Abbott, Guy and Van Giels. Lechty is in 8th place. Hautzenberger has moved to 9th past Rob Cameron. 11th Houghton, 12th Fleury. Barry Fleury's doing much better. I hate to say this, Jane, but he's doing much better without you in the chair, Pet. Perhaps you ought to retire and let him have Ben Birchall in the chair a little more regularly. But it seems that Jane, brave lady, was very keen that the bike got some points on it, as they'd gone 3 points without any rounds. Can I rephrase that? 3 rounds without any points so far. So, well, at the moment, Jane, it's looking very likely because your husband's got 4 points notched up as we speak.
It's nice to see she's dedicated, whether she's in or out of the chair.
Right. We're looking for the 4th place man going past. The number 5 outfit of the number 5 outfit goes hurtling past us now. Hautzenberger, Lechty, and at the front. Oh. It's not the rev limiter those things are hitting.
Yeah, it's a difficult part of the track, that, both for solos and sidecars. It's difficult to gear it. If you grab another gear, then you get punted up into McLean's a bit too fast, so you tend to keep it on the rev limiter, and hopefully these guys have got the rev limiter set where it's reliability. They'll keep the reliability okay. If they've got them revving too hard up there on the rev limiter, then they could have some problems, as Steve Webster has had with head gaskets and overheating and losing loss of water in the past.
Webbo doesn't seem to be getting any slower. Incidentally, Neil Mackenzie, viewers back home, you may not have known that there was great disappointment here at Donington Park, because at 2:30 Neil was penciled in to go for a couple of fiery laps with Steve Webster in the chair of that live on-screen racing outfit. But Neil was playing silly boys with Carl Harris round a field behind his house near to Donington Park on Friday night on mini motors, would you believe, that meant to be used on tarmac. And the result was a series of heavy falls as they had fun together, and this has left Mr. Mackenzie with an alleged back complaint for which he's taking painkillers.
Well, Steve has given me a number of opportunities, and this is actually the closest I've got, and it is a genuine reason. I did my back in, and please quote me now, because I will, the first opportunity, I will come back to Donington with Steve and do a few laps, and I really want to do it. I just know that I wouldn't have been able to hang on today, and I want to do it when I'm fit and let Steve go as fast as he thinks I can hang on for. But I genuinely did do my back in, and I've been standing here with some painkillers down my neck all day just to get through the day. Honest to God.
I believe you. I do believe you. I've seen him wincing, ladies and gentlemen, back home. the live on-screen machine of Webber. At the moment, that last lap, 139.3, 139.3 for Claven Bach, but a 138.9 for Steinhausen. And Hanks on 140, Abbott 141. So these three heavyweights at the front, lapping appreciably faster than anybody else. Steinhausen the fastest on the last lap, but it hasn't done him a lot of good in terms of closing the other two down. Steve Webster leads then. Second place, we've got Klaus Claven Bach. So the big battle is on. We're going to take a quick break here from Donington Park. Be back with you in a couple of minutes. Klaus Claven Bach. Klaus Claven Bach. Welcome back to Donington Park, and 7 laps complete. No, correct that. 8 laps out of 23 complete. And this is the battle for the lead. It's the old protagonists, well, the young protagonist in the case of the man in second place here, 31-year-old Klaus Claven Bach versus 41-year-old Stevie Webster, number 1. Fastest lap, 138.3 against the 138.34 of Klaus Claven Bach on that lap. And I wonder what Paul Woodhead was clapping Steve Webster on the shoulder there for. Did he hear me and know that Stevie had done the fastest lap?
I'm not sure. Well, I know Steve's digging in, but he pushed quite hard. The last lap coming around Goddard's, he got a little bit wide because Claven Bach's still keeping the pressure on. Because he's maybe got a problem there. He's maybe tapping him, telling him he had a problem because Steve's looking back.
Incidentally, Steve Webster running a 5-speed rather than his usual 6-speed gearbox around Donington Park, because he says that reduces the number of gear changes he needs from 27 to around 20 per lap.
I hate to say it, but I think Steve may have a little problem there.
Certainly, he was pretty easily passed there, going down into the S's, and he has got a problem.
Yeah, definitely, maybe another overheating problem, head gasket.
Ah, what a shame, and that was the reason that he was getting clapped on the right shoulder by Paul Woodhead, his hard-working passenger.
Paul would possibly be the first guy to notice if they're leaking water or a bit of steam or...
So Steve Webster, 8 times world champion, could begin to see his chances of retaining that championship receding as his number 1 rival Klaus Claven Bach takes off at the front. Second place, Jörg Steinhausen, and his new English passenger Trevor Hopkinson. I better say British, just in case he's one of your fellow Scotsmen, Neil. And the sad side of Steve Webster and Paul Woodhead heading down to pit lane. I'm just wondering if they'll come right down past us. If they make it this far, here they come. They're cruising down beneath us right now. And certainly, judging by the body language of Paul Woodhead in the passenger platform, that's it. He looks as if he's almost fallen asleep with dejection there, because they were leading that race well in one of those yet another resounding battle, Anglo-German fight.
It's too bad. I spoke to Steve and he seemed to think that the reliability wasn't a problem. He had all the problems in Monza sorted out, and he's fairly confident that everything would go the distance here. Unfortunately,
it hasn't. And it looks like already getting lapped were Yon Hayakawa and Yuzuru Kobe, the Japanese pairing on the Kumano Racing Suzuki. And off goes number 20, the second of the Clark Grand Prix Excalibur Racing machines. That's Dan Morrissey and Mark Cox pulling the Yamaha LCR off, or being pushed off by helpful marshals. So it's been an awful day for the Clark Grand Prix, boys. Steinhausen is now second. Hanks will move into a potential podium finish in his terrific battle with Steve Abbott. Also getting lapped there, number 26, Sebastien Delanoy and Jérôme Vanier. The Frenchman on the Team San Seb 72 Suzuki.
It's quite likely Steve Abbott could end up with another podium position here.
Steve Abbott, who won here in 1999. And last year, when Webster inherited a win over Claven Bach, Steinhausen moved into second place, and Janssen third, Muldoon fourth, Hanks fifth, Ian Guy sixth. But that was on Hanks, and there goes the number 20 machine. And another, this time it's an English helmet thumping a Clark Grand Prix fairing rather than a Scottish fist. So Hanks goes past in 4th place. No, in 4th place because he's just lost out on that lap to Stevie Abbott.
I don't know if Paul
I'm
Woodhead
just
maybe
wonder,
had a problem, yeah.
I think that Paul Woodhead had surgery on the Friday night in Phillip Island on that knee after he'd hurt it, not by crashing, but he'd hurt it. He'd hurt it actually on the platform during qualifying on the Friday. They did some keyhole surgery on the Friday night, and he insisted on trying to race. Well, he didn't have to race because the deluge swamped the whole place on Sunday. He did carry on from there without any rest.
I wasn't aware that he still had it. I know he was in big trouble in Phillip Island and really would have struggled to race there, but I wasn't aware that he still had a problem. But he may well have.
He may have aggravated it now.
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice to know that Steve didn't have a mechanical problem, but if he can't move around on there, then sure they would have to stop. He hasn't. Well, he's obviously in trouble.
He's in pain, isn't he? And he's a tough boy. We know that. I think you'd better go back and see your surgeon, my boy. Number 2, Claven Bach, across the finishing line to complete 11 out of 23 laps. Claven Bach leads. Second place, York Steinhausen with his new partner, Trevor Hopkinson.
Stevie Abbott looks like already in third place.
Abbott got third place on the last lap. He nicked it from Hanks. So Stevie Abbott might be heading for another podium position here. He didn't manage it last year. He did win the year before. Hanks, of course, made his first appearance in the World Championships last year at this round and won handsomely, the British champion. Now, of course, on a full-out assault on the World Championship Series. And look at this. The Eurobet.com machine is really hanging it out. Steinhausen, he's 8.2 seconds behind the leader, but he's making a fist of it. Van Giels is 5th, Ian Guy 6th, about 2.5 seconds behind the Van Giels brothers. Houtzenberger has gone past in 7th place with Adolf Hani in the chair. And incidentally, who are we looking at right now? Trevor Hopkinson, the man out for his first race. And here we'll look at the moment that Klaus Claven Bach took the lead.
Paul Woodhead definitely looks uncomfortable.
He definitely wasn't able to move very well there. He really wasn't, was he? He's clutching his leg, and he is in trouble. He's in real trouble. I think the knee might have locked up on him there, and he can't even get back down in the chair because he stayed in that position more or less from that point on.
That is really unfortunate. I apologise for saying that Steve had a mechanical problem. He obviously hasn't. It's something passenger problem.
And the boys from the Wirral just getting lapped there, number 19, the outfit of Chris Founds and Peter Founds making their return after their big crash at Valencia in the first round that had the race red flagged. And you can see how despondent Paul Woodhead is. I wonder how Volkswagen UK will feel about it, because remember, he's got a high-powered job with them as the boss of all their servicing departments and such like countrywide. So excuse me, VW, you might be without Paul Woodhead tomorrow. That's the gap between the leaders and second place men. Eurobet.com outfit. He's all the time catching tantalising glimpses around the wonderful swoops of this beautiful circuit. Stevie Abbott, he's in third place now with Jamie Biggs in the chair.
He's already put 2 seconds on Tom Hanks, so it looks like maybe a bit more now, even 3 seconds.
Yeah, he's 2 seconds. He's at least 2 seconds ahead of him. So it looks like Hanks may have to settle for that 4th place. He looks comfortably ahead of Van Giels. There he is. So you could just caught the glimpse of the number 9 outfit, the distinctive orange and blue of Tom Hanks. Back with the leader. This is Klaus Claven Bach. Christian Partzer in the chair. Already the championship leaders by a handsome amount from Steve Abbott. We take a quick break. Be back with you at Donington very soon. Glimpse of the Spot the deliberate mistake. Number 27, the outfit of Dieter Eilers and Andreas Kloak from Germany on their Ren team Ehlers Suzuki. They've just shed their nose cone, and a brave marshal has run onto the pitch and picked it up and run off, holding it aloft like some trophy. Actually, the outfit doesn't look bad like that. I wonder if it affects the handling, though, Neil.
Maybe not. Aerodynamics, definitely, because he's got a bit of a slab in the front there instead of a bit of a point, but high speed, it'll definitely have a bit of an effect.
At the front of this race, Klaus Claven Bach is now 10.2 seconds clear of his rival York Steinhausen. In fact, Claven Bach just crosses the line now. Oh,
contact.
That was contact that caused that to go. Wow. That was big contact as well. So number 27, there's passenger looking round in some disbelief there. As I think that was Schroeder, wasn't it, who whapped across on his nose there and just clipped it. And number 19, Chris Founds, just behind him. So Founds is up to 15th place and in the points behind Eilers. And number 62, the number 62 outfit of Biggs and Biggs on Yamaha.
Steve Abbott's got 7 seconds now on Tom Hanks, fairly comfortable in 3rd position.
So Abbott certainly isn't going to repeat his result of 2 years ago, but he is looking like he's going to get onto the podium on present form. And this is the battle for 11th place. Number 22 in front there, Mike Roscher and Ewan Neuber on the RCS Roscher Sidecar outfit from Germany, about to get passed by yet more. How many Biggses are there in this sport? Here we have a sidecar outfit completely manned by Biggses, both driver and passenger, riding as wild cards and riding hard, knocking people's nose cones off and making progress. Behind them, Eilers is trying to hold on, and that's a very beautiful pair of finned helmets, not beautiful enough to hold off a determined Biggs, who squeezes underneath, going through the Melbourne hairpin and gets through into 12th place. Sorry, 11th place. So top 10 next. No, not quite yet, because of retaliation going into, oh, they're all over the place, going into Goddard's. And Roscher gets it back. Biggs in 12th place, Schroeder 13th. These guys lapping around 149, 148, which is 10 seconds slower than Klaus Claven Bach in the lead, which probably explains why they're a lap behind him. Claven Bach then, last lap 139.26. Steinhausen 15.9 seconds behind in 2nd place. 3rd, Stevie Abbott. 4th, Tom Hanks. 5th place, Van Giels has just gone past.
This looks like it could end in tears. There's a fair amount of, not serious contact, but there's a fair amount of touching going on.
And Stevie Abbott is trying to thread his way through this. He needs to lap these guys, so he's got to split them first, which he does. Oh, scythes through them brilliantly up to McLean's and gets himself safely through. Hautzenberger's passed us in 7th place. Rob Catherine should be the next one through.
James Whittam was commenting today that through the left of Craner and the left of Schwanz's, some of the riders in front of him were touching the inside of the track and knocking some dust and sand in his face, and I wasn't quite sure where that was coming from, but I noticed the sidecars run right over there, run the passenger side of the chair right over there, and obviously been wearing the grass out there a little bit. Not that I'm calling the sidecar guys, but that has been the reason.
So they've grazed the track down to bare earth, cut it back to bare earth there.
Quite right, I'd be right across there as well.
And look at these lot going at it. That number 22 outfit of Mike Roscher really working hard to keep in front of the Biggs machine. Klaus Claven Bach. Christian Partzer in the chair. He's got a new CD out, incidentally, a bit of a musician. Actually a former keeper of a house of ill repute in Austria. He's got a CD out entitled something along the lines of I Would Be King. Well, it looks like he's on his way to being. And the person I feel sorry for is the great Adolf Harney, who's partnered Klaus Claven Bach through all his near misses and then moves on at the demand of a sponsor who wanted an all-Austrian crew, just when it looks like Claffey might win his first world title. They're lapping number 25, Rob Cameron and Darren Harper, who are lying in 8th place. So the Team Cameron racing machine, that bright lemon yellow, following them through the S's, but not able to quite match them on speed. Claven Bach's actually relaxed back into a 1 minute 40 plus, just 1 minute 40.094. I don't like those flashes of flame coming out of his outfit. I hope the whole thing doesn't explode once upon a time, but Steinhausen's machine's been doing that all the way through.
Yeah, and Steve Webster's does it as well. It's just unburnt fuel when they're back shifting and the throttle's closed. Unburnt fuel when you open the throttle, it just catches fire in the exhaust. It's no big problem unless your backside's close to the exhaust at that point.
Or your hand in the case of a passenger, or even your face.
I feel I'm sad for Andy Hetherington, because he would have had a couple of podiums here, both at Monza and Donington here, if he could have, pardon the phrase, hung on for the last few races. I just wonder if, when he was bouncing down the track, was he having a retiring moment? Because I know a few big offs I've had, in the few seconds I've had while I'm bouncing along, I've always thought, if I survive this, I might retire. I just wonder if that's what was thoughts that were going through his mind in Monza.
As he revolved down the middle of the straight at 120 miles an hour. Who knows? Could be. We'll take a quick break. Back with you very soon. Welcome back to Donington Park, the closing stages of the sidecar race. 20 laps completed. This is the man in second place, Jörg Steinhausen, the man who will celebrate his 31st birthday in just 5 days' time, comes from Nürnberg in Germany. Jörg Steinhausen, 1997 German champion, 1998 German champion, and 1998 European champion. And this guy, well, he's gone through more passengers than he's had years racing, in fact. Started off with Frank Schmitz. He had Christian Partzer last year. Andy Hetherington appeared when Christian Partzer went off to ride side saddle with Klaus Claven Bach. And now he's got Trevor Hopkinson in the chair. So certainly going through the passengers. But Steinhausen, a very fast learner. I suppose if your father's been a double world champion, as Rolf Steinhausen, his team boss, was back in the 1970s, then you've got every reason to learn quick.
It's in the genes.
It's in the genes.
Yeah, I hope we can get a close-up of Klaus Klaffenbach's outfit, because when he was running across the inside of Craner, the bodywork covering the third wheel picked up a clod of grass, and it's ripped part of it off. It looks quite rough. Not going to affect anything, but it's fairly loose, and just dug up the grass and ripped it apart.
And I think this young man's on a bit of a charge. The 45-year-old, 46-year-old Stevie Abbott, the man from Riddings in Derbyshire, is really putting some hot laps on, and he's closing down on Steinhausen. Now, he's left it a bit late in the day to do anything about it, but who knows? Stevie might know something that we don't. So Jamie Biggs, a mere 31 years old, in the chair, the man from Sorgel near Chester. With Steve Abbott, former Isle of Man TT winner, former British champion. He won that in 84, in 94, in 95. Finished 5th in the World Championship in 1998.
He's closed the big gap. He's only 4 seconds behind.
He's only four seconds behind, and he's lapping 2 seconds quicker with 2 laps to go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that in my simple mathematical brain adds up to a dead heat.
Yeah, Steinhausen is having some big slides. The last 2-3 laps he's been completely sideways at the old hairpin, so he's in trouble with rear traction.
So, for Steinhausen begins to struggle. Stevie Abbott senses the possibility of getting second place, and he's beginning to close up on them as they barrel their way through that hole before Coppice, and then the long exit to Coppice. And Steve will really have his head down now, because of course he's second in the championship. If he can reduce the amount of deficit he'll lose on championship leader Klaus Klaffenbach by nicking second place here, then that will make a big difference. That'll give him an extra 4 points and mean he only loses 5 on Klaffenbach for the day. Come on, Stevie boy, you can do it. So suddenly things hotting up into the Melbourne Loop for the penultimate time. Klaus Klaffenbach has already gone past 1:41 seconds. He's hit the cruise button. But look at this fire-breathing monster, this Eurobet.com machine. Incidentally, you can bet on the sidecar racing on Eurobet.com. And also, Superside.com is the website on which you can glean loads of information about these guys and their outfits. And this could just be a close finish. Steinhausen 1:41.0, Abbott 1:39.0. He's taken 2 seconds further out of him. If he does another 2 seconds out of him, he'll be on his tail by the end of the lap.
I think he needs another lap.
1:892. Does he need another lap, or can he do it? If he needs another lap, that's going to be unlucky that he made such a poor start. Stevie Abbott, he didn't actually qualify that badly. He was on the middle of the 3rd row, but he just got squeezed out at the start, and he's paying the penalty now because he's agonisingly close to second place. Meanwhile, at the front, the OPCM machine of Klaus Claven Bach and Christian Part of the Austrian duo, headed for a comfortable victory. They've always had one thing. Claven Bach has always had reliability. His machines have always really run like clockwork. They have punched a bit of a hole in that sidecar wheel cover, Neil, but I don't think that's going to trouble them too much, because they're about to taste victory, and it'll be all the sweeter, of course, because they won here at Donington, only to be excluded last year, or rather Klaus Claven Bach and Adolf Harney did. So Claffey Racing Teams, Suzuki takes first place yet again here at Donington Park.
Christian Parts looks like he's got gardening gloves on. Oh, he's done them. Oh,
and here goes, Stevie Webster trying to, he's going to take both of them out. Abbott just about hangs on, and he does. He comes round the outside, and Jörg Steinhausen loses second place. Fantastic. And he'll be pretty furious about that, because we've seen him almost come to blows with Claven Bach after their big coming together on the last lap at Assen
he went the long way round there, but did it? that shouldn't be possible in a sidecar.
That was a huge way round. I thought both of them were going to spin themselves round then, but it didn't quite happen. So Klaus Claven Bach wins it, and an entertaining finale puts Steve Abbott through into second place to maintain his championship challenge. Jörg Steinhausen almost literally pushed down to third. Tom Hanks comes through into fourth place, and we're awaiting the arrival of the Van Giels brothers, who will be finishing, we hope, in fifth place. Excuse me. Well, in fact, it was partly what had happened, really, was that Jörg Steinhausen brought it on himself by going so hot into Goddard, he couldn't pull the thing up, Neil. So really, 6 and 2/3's job there.
It was, I said Steve Abbott needed another lap, and really he did, but
he made it. A brilliant ride by him. Van Giels finishes fifth, Ian Guy in sixth place. Houtzenberger goes across the line in seventh. Barry Fleury came through to eighth place ahead of Rocha, Leichty, Biggs. Chris Founds, a brave return for the boys from the Wirral, in 12th place. We'll take a quick break after that breathless finale and be back with podium and interviews in a few moments. For the boys from the